Welcome back to chapter 222 of Pirates of Savannah, the audiobook. Hope you're enjoying it. It's been a fun ride. Please swing by lupolilink.com and support me. Thanks.
Chapter 22 Hilton Head's Booty. The Robin could not catch a good wind and was making its way slowly down the coast. The rumor that they were going treasure hunting circled wildly among the crew. Now the captain finally had an island. Hopefully she could possibly unlock the mystery of the tattoo. Patrick, Isaac, Sam Scurvy, Nina, Julius, and Seamus all took their turns trying to decipher it. The tattoo was rather simple. It was 3 circles near each other with an X marked in the inside edge of one. Under was a symbol that looked like the letter U, and it had the number 20 east. The group moved closer to study April's markings.
Maybe it has something to do with moons and shadows. You know, like a shadow map,
Isaac speculated. Seamus took a guess. Maybe those circles represent waves. And maybe Mary Reed sank the treasure. Patrick agreed. Seamus might be right. Perhaps the shapes could be underwater reefs. Sam Scurvy took a stab.
They could be reefs, but I don't remember any shape like that on my charts.
Do you think they could actually be the letter O? Perhaps there's something on the island that has a triple O name, like Olive Octopus Outcrop or something.
Julius interjected.
I've never heard of such a place. Shut your mouth and stop being an idiot.
Sam denounced him. April studied the tattoo for the 1000th time. The best I can come up with in all these years is that it represents hills or mounds. Patrick's attention was stolen away when Audrey Scott started to approach. He noticed her muscular body she had developed from a life of diving and swimming. She was wearing worn-out men's diving clothes, but was adorned with an extremely expensive pearl necklace she had made for herself from her dives. This woman was indeed odd. He had never even seen a woman swim, and it was unheard of that one would work as a diver in all those tight clothes. He finally came to accept that if someone had an extreme oddity, that they would somehow find a home on this ship. The Robin had quickly become a haven to the outcasts of society. April sighed in frustration. We are never going to figure this damn clue out. Perhaps we should just go to Blackbeard's Island and treasure hunt there instead. It's just south of Savannah anyway, and it's rumored he buried a fortune in those sands. Patrick greeted the young lady diver and invited her to make a guess. The short-haired blonde woman walked up and stared at April's arm. You say we're going to Hilton's Head? The captain replied, We are, but it looks like we'll just sail around it aimlessly because we cannot figure out the riddle of these markings. Don't let the wind blow your mood in circles. I think I know where to find your booty. Audrey smiled. The group was silent and stared at the diver in anticipation. She continued, These circle markings look like the ancient Indian shell ring mounds. The shell rings are laid out just like the markings on your tattoo. Nobody knows who really made the rings, but it is a rumor that it was an ancient Indian tribe thousands of years old. Scholars argue that the tribe lived in the middle of these rings and used to throw their waste to the edges. Over time, the mounds of shells served as a wall to protect them. If you want my opinion, I think it was a huge midden or a garbage mound, but April cut her off. I don't need a history lesson right now, dear. Just tell me if you can take me to these shell mounds. I would love to study them some more. I'd be happy to see them again, the young woman chirped. Excitement swept over the crew, but the captain's experience from her pirating days reminded her to be cautious whom she trusted. She remembered how large amounts of treasure made normal sane folks go mad with gold fever. She knew the smaller the search party, the better. She picked Audrey, Patrick, and Nina. Julius threw a fit and demanded to join the party.
Nina has pirate blood flowing through her. She cannot be trusted. I will escort her, or I will forbid her to go.
Audrey instructed Sam of the location to anchor off Hilton's Head Island. The group of 5 rode to the beach and started making casual talk. So, April, how have you been making profits over the last months in order to keep this crew fed? Patrick asked.
Julia snickered. I not see a crew. What crew? I see a bunch of women, children, convicts, and slaves.
You best be keeping your tongue tight when talking about me crew. Yes, most of them might be women, but they've been trained in ways of sailing now and are getting damn good. These days they be as capable as any pirating crew I've ever captained. Speak poorly of them again and you can swim back to Charlestown, the captain threatened. Julius was taken back that a woman dared speak to him with such arrogance, but he could not respond in a coherent sentence. Ah, so mum be the word, I see. Wise man, April said condescendingly. Nina grinned at April. She really enjoyed seeing her husband stood up to by a woman. To answer your question, me wolf, we made most our fortune running illegal spirits to Savannah and whoring on the open waters. We sail to other merchant ships and mirror their route while the whores go over and shake the gold out of their sacks. In short time, we have turned a respectable profit, the tattooed woman explained. The small jolly boat ran a beach, and the group of 5 dragged it ashore. Audrey led the treasure hunters through the thick underbrush and marsh. It did not take long for the island's sand gnats and mosquitoes to discover the new meat. Julius was getting eaten alive by the hungry bugs, to Nina's delight. The group slowly made their way to the ancient mounds. So, wife, where did you find the male crew on the Robin? Patrick questioned. April dodged a snake on the ground and casually stated, A few stayed on when I purchased the barkey, but most of these men are cast-offs too. We have a few slaves on the run, a few political prisoners, and some fortune seekers. We need to find many more as soon as we add the next ship to our fleet. Audrey interrupted. Look at this ancient Indian marking on this stone. She pointed at a symbol of a round spiral attached to a square spiral. In most Indian cultures, this is a symbol left behind to tell others they've migrated and moved to a new village. That explains what might have happened to them. Ah, we're finally here. We have to walk around it to the opening unless you want to climb a wall 3 men high made of sharp oyster shells. It's truly amazing to think how many years of eating oysters this took to make. Think about how these ancient Indians were able to catch and harvest them without any modern equipment we have today. All they would have had was a canoe and great spirit. I bet if we would look at the outer rings, we would find... The captain cut her off. We be here to find gold, lass. Not to answer age-old questions about dead Indian cultures. Audrey sighed. I want to come back here soon after you recover your booty. I hope you can drop me off for a few days to study. They walked into the entrance of the massive ring and took the view in. The tattoo woman gasped. You're right, Audrey. It is impressive. I'll definitely let you come back and look around. Now, let's look at this tattoo. Are you sure that this be the right ring, Audrey? Yes, Captain, this is it. Where shall we dig? The blonde diver replied, That is what this old pirate symbol means, dear. It looks like a fancy letter U with a number. That is a symbol, meaning we need to look for a seat, and we be needing a compass now. Everyone spread out. We are looking for a seat either carved out of the shell or on a rock. April Reed commanded. The group searched for a half hour in the hot sun until Nina called them over. I found this large rock, and look here, a letter U is carved in it. This has to be it, Aunt April. The captain carefully removed the compass out of its binnacle and sat in the indentation worn in the great rock. She watched the magical powers of the compass point north, and then found dead east. She stood up, staring at the compass, and started pacing. 18, 19, 20. Get your spades out and let's find Mary's gold. The excited group dug a hole at a frenzied pace until Audrey's shovel hit something with a thud. April, Patrick, and Audrey dug vigorously until the chest was free. The 3 of them joined forces and exhumed the fancy wooden box.
That'll be enough, ladies. Put your hands on your head and step back, Julia shouted.
The three spun their heads around to see the aspiring aristocrat holding a knife at Nina's neck and pointing a flintlock at April.
Stand up slowly and unbuckle your belts. I want all your weapons piled over there. Do anything flashy and I'll open her neck up, he warned.
You fucking bastard! We would have gotten our share. You greedy piece of dog shit. My aunt did not have to give us anything at all. Nina spit as she helplessly tried to wrestle from Julius's grip.
I only married you because I was paid by your ward. With this gold, I can leave you and finally live the life I deserve, he spit back.
The three stepped away from the chest and did what they were told. A pile of pistols and blades was now on the ground.
Step far away from your weapons. Now, Captain, go unlock that chest.
The tattooed woman walked over and kneeled down in front of the heavy wooden box. She slowly pulled out a skeleton key from her dress. She examined the chest slowly until Julius lost his temper.
Just stick the fucking key in the front there,
he ordered angrily. This is just a dummy plate. It's not a real lock. It's to keep shit stains like you from knowing how to open them. April cursed. Filled with rage, Julius belted Nina across the nose, knocking her to the ground.
Keep insulting me, you whore, and I'll keep beating your niece, he yelled.
April capped her anger and kept explaining calmly. It's an old pirate tradition to hide the lock in the hinge. This key should open any lock. She fiddled with the skeleton key for a moment until a click could be heard coming from the hinge.
I care not a beaver shit about your annoying pirate traditions. Just open the bloody chest and let me see my gold.
She flung the lid open and a gold light danced across her face. April gazed up at Julius and spoke softly. It is a shame you don't want to learn about old pirate traditions, as there is one I really like. Julius's face filled with confusion as he looked down to see his life oozing down his chest. April mocked. Us pirates also have a tradition of bearing a loaded pistol with our gold. Mary Reed had left April an extremely rare Swedish boarding axe pistol. The weapon was a doglock with a vicious axe head with a spiked tip forged on the front of the muzzle, making it half axe, half pistol. Julius stumbled and lost his balance. He raised his firelock and was desperately trying to steady his aim when Nina rose up and punched him in his testicles. The captain used this distraction to make her move, and she swung the axe pistol at the man's firelock. A pinwheel of blood showered Nina and April as the arrogant man's pistol in hand went flying through the air. Julius doubled over in pain, but still tried to move into a killing position with his knife over Nina. April lunged forward, driving the spike of the axe head through Nina's husband's eye. The body fell limp into the sand and shells. Nina stood over the dying man and kicked him again. I hope the devil has his way with you, Julius. Her husband's hands and feet twitched while he lay face down in his own pool of blood. Nina spit on his body as his soul left it. The niece ran over to the aunt and hugged her as she cried. The two embraced while Patrick grabbed his musket and checked the body to confirm it was lifeless. Nina's mood quickly changed as she wiped away the tears with her sleeve. Leave that piece of shit for gator food. How rich are we? The four closed ranks around the chest and their eyes lit up. The chest was filled with a collection of gold and silver coins from all over the world. Leather pouches of pearls and rare gems were buried in the heavy rounds. Fabulous necklaces and rings were mixed in pokes of pearls. More treasure than they ever imagined would be in an old wood chest. The group was giddy, jumping up and down like children. April reached in the pile of jewelry and handed Audrey a large, elegant ruby pendant. This would look good hanging on your pearl necklace. Take this matching ring, too. You've definitely earned them. Thank you for helping us recover this booty. Now we return. We must keep this quiet from the crew. Even though I trust them, gold gives people a fever. Just look over there. She spoke gravely as she pointed to Julius's corpse. Everyone nodded and agreed to tell nobody the contents. She closed the chest and asked Audrey to hide the pendant for now. The wooden box was so heavy it took all 4 people to carry it. The group would walk a short ways and then set the chest down to rest. It took all day to get the booty back to the Robin. They talked as they shuffled along. The niece stated to her aunt, "I can't believe that pistol axe actually fired. The powder had to be primed for over a decade." "Well, your mother followed another pirate tradition. She stuck a large bag of salt next to it in the chest to keep the powder dry. If you keep asking all these questions, soon you'll know all our secret tricks." "I've been thinking, Aunt. I don't want to go back to that life. I want to stay with you. So instead of giving me a share of your treasure, I'd rather you keep it. I would like an interest in the profits of your new ship you're getting. I want to invest this gold back into you," the niece offered. "That is a very wise idea, niece. Once you spend this gold, it'll be gone forever. But buy a business, and the gold never stops coming. I'll work out a fair offer for you." April Reed smiled. The group loaded the jolly boat and returned to the Robin. They did their best to hide the chest and covered it with a large cloth, but the crew obviously saw something heavy being lifted and loaded aboard. The 4 tried to carry the wooden box to the captain's quarters without attention, but failed miserably. Once the swag was safely in her quarters, she beckoned for Sam Scurvy and Isaac. The men ran down to her chambers in excitement. Isaac looked around, confused, and asked,
Where's Julius?
"Oh, it was terrible. The gators got him." Nina smiled slyly. April cut in. "Now, Sam, tell me, where can I buy a good ship?" Marion was startled at the sound of pounding on the door. Heather ran to Marion's room and sat down on the bed with her, armed with a pistol and a few items in her growing collection of blades. The twins ran to the door, Amos armed with a musket and cowering behind a chair while Maximilian stood ready by the door. He had his left hand on the door handle and his dirk in his right hand in the air, ready to strike. In his best deep voice, Maximilian called,
"It be a late hour, stranger. What's your business with us now?"
"Lad, it be your Uncle William. Let me in before the redcoats get here." Maximilian lowered his dirk and hastily opened the door. "Redcoats?" he asked in shock. "What are the English doing heading here?" William burst in, and before he could say another word, he noticed the twins' positions. The 2 were ready to take out anything unfriendly on the other side of that door.
"Ah, me nephews. Know your dad would be proud for you 2 being on your toes like this."
Amos emerged from behind the chair as Maximilian closed and locked the door.
"Amos," William continued, "get your mom and sister and hurry up now."
Within 2 minutes, the family was sitting around the table as William explained what happened and how he found out. The large bounty on their heads that Kingsley put up attracted many loyalist eyes. Someone had seen and recognized Isaac working on the farm a few months back. A mammoth of a Jewish man in a Scottish village was pretty hard to hide. The redcoats shook down some fur traders who had traveled to the colony of Argyle, and they fingered Isaac.
"I got word that the lobsterbacks are on their way, and I came by sea to beat them here. I did not beat them by more than an hour. Now hurry,"
William explained. With the story finished, he ordered the girls to pack only the bare necessities that could be carried on their backs, and ordered the twins to gather the Dandridge and Quinn families.
"Make haste, everyone,"
he exclaimed as he began to pack pouches with gunpowder and shots. Maximilian ran to the Quinn house and raised everyone. He spared the details, only saying that the redcoats were on their way to arrest and execute everyone for murder and treasonous acts. They wasted no time in jumping out of bed and grabbing bags they had already packed. They always feared at some point that this dream life would come crashing to an end, as the British tended to ensure that the world was made England, no matter what the cost. Amos ran to the Dandridge home and pounded on the door. "It's Amos. Wake up." Mariana opened the door and yawned as she asked, "What is it, Amos?" "It's the redcoats, Mariana." Her eyes popped open, wide awake, as Amos burst through the ajar door and began gathering their weapons for them. "They're coming for us for murder and treason. Go, wake your family and grab only what you need. We're leaving now. Within 10 minutes, all the fugitive families were standing in front of the Freeman home. Heather looked back at the home she had learned to love and the life of freedom she had grown accustomed to. She began to cry as Prudence and Mariana grabbed each of her hands. The inseparable trio walked together as the Quinns' cart and horses began to move to the path which led to the nearby coast. The twins walked out in front, fully armed and fearless. Nothing would stop them from their solemn duty of protecting this hurriedly packed group of families. They had lost their dear father and would lose no more. Marian stood staring at the moon. William walked up to her and put a reassuring arm around her shoulders. "That baby of yours will do fine, lass." "Oh, of that I have no doubts." She smiled at William. Her gaze turned back to the silvery moon in the night sky. "I can't decide if I want to bless or curse this moon for being full tonight. I'm grateful for the light for our journey, but I fear it makes us an easier target for the British." "'Tis a blessing, Marian. Never forget Duncan's always watching over all of you. He'll guide you when you need guidance and protect you when you need protecting." The two hugged, and Marian fought back the tears welling in her eyes. "It'll be all right, lass. Now let's go." The pair began to walk away from the house when Marian stopped and ran back without a word. "Marian!" William shouted after her. "Come back. What you doing, you crazy lass?" He followed her and grabbed her by the arm. "Turn me loose, William. The books. I left the books. I have to go get those books." He let go of her arm and nodded. "Aye, but make it quick." William suddenly felt a chill run up his spine as he made his firelock ready. "Thanks for the warning, Duncan," he muttered under his breath, taking aim at the brush he first emerged from when coming to evacuate the families. Marian had a leather bag containing the now sacred Books of Liberty baptized in Archibald's blood. She too had received the chill, the omen from her dead husband of danger looming. She quietly stepped on the porch to see William aiming at something on the edge of their property. "William," she whispered. "Stay put, lass," he said quietly. "I'll draw them out, and when they get their first round shot, you run for it and outleg 'em." "I'm not going to leave you, William," she shouted through a whispered tone. "No, you won't. I'll be right behind you, I swear it." William stepped off the porch and into the moonlight. Marian watched helplessly and rubbed her stomach, as if to tell the baby it was going to be all right. The baby knew something was amiss and would not stop moving inside her. With her other hand, she was clenching a bag of books tightly and held them to her chest, as if to tell the books it was going to be all right. "Fire!" came a disembodied command from the tree line. There came a series of shots with puffs of smoke rising into the moonlight. William fired his musket simultaneously and heard a man scream in agony. "Ho!" William shouted as Marian ran past him. "Got one of your pathetic bags of rat shit," he shouted, taunting his dropped target. He ran behind Marian, claymore now drawn, trying to escape the next round of shots. Marian and William ran hard and cleared the field in time. Marian felt a sudden rush of panic as she suddenly realized that she could very well soon be watching her children die just as Archibald had died in front of her. "Run!" she screamed, tears streaming down her face. "Run, they're here!" "We heard the shots," Mr. Dandridge said as he met William and Marian, carrying an extra loaded musket for William. "Mariana, take this and hop into the cart. Get it reloaded quickly," he commanded his daughter, handing her William's musket. "We've got such a long push to the coast. We'll never make it." Prudence began to weep. "Now is not the time for panic, dear," her father said as he embraced her with his free hand. "Now let's get that musket loaded and get these horses running faster." Patrick stood in awe of the swamp before him. "I can't believe this, Isaac. Another damn swamp? I'll be more than happy to spend the rest of my life aboard the new ship of the line and never have to see another bug or swamp again."
"You really need to stop whining,"
Isaac said. He was no more thrilled to be traipsing through the swamp than Patrick was, but whining was not going to accomplish anything.
We'll all be happy to be together again and welcome that new child into this world. So let's get moving before we miss the birth.
Patrick let out a big sigh. You're right, my old friend. With a pat on the back, he began to fight his way through the swamp, trying to find some higher ground. April and Sam were back at the Cape Fear dock, trying to buy a larger ship. The model was called a ship of the line, with more cannons than the Robin, which was only a mid-sized galleon. The two ships would hopefully be able to comfortably fit the increasing number of people that were being taken in by April and her collection of social outcasts, which she called a crew. I do miss playing Hush Puppy with our mutt version of Garland, Patrick said. He remembered the days of living in the swamp, stealing arms and cannons from Oglethorpe's clumsy attempt on the Spanish.
That was a good dog indeed, Patrick. But I must tell you, I like the real Garland much better.
There was no concealing the smile on Isaac's face now. Patrick said, half smirking, I know that if things should go that way, you'll be good to my sister.
I have your blessing to court her, then?
Isaac asked. My blessing?
Yes. Her father, your father, is dead. You are her guardian, her protector. But she would have to convert.
Ah, good luck getting her to do that, Patrick laughed. He stopped and turned to Isaac and put his hand on his hulking shoulder. Yes, Isaac, you have my blessing. They embraced for a moment, but were quickly interrupted by the sounds of hooves coming at them. Oh, this isn't going to be good, is it? Patrick asked, getting his firelock pointed in the direction of the noise, with Isaac following suit.
Hold your fire, Patrick,
Isaac said as he saw a cart carrying Quinn approaching at full canter.
Whoa! Sovereign Quinn!
Isaac held up his hand and waved him down. No, Quinn stated breathlessly. No stopping. The redcoats have found us out. William got us out just in time, but they're right behind us. Gunshots could be heard through the swamp. Where's Marion? Patrick asked, his gut filled with worry about her and the baby. Quinn pointed behind them. They watched as the trio of girls ran toward them, followed by the twins and their mother. The large Quinn and Dandridge families followed next in line. Last, but certainly not least, was a Scot dancing around in his kilt and shouting in his native tongue as he dropped another soldier. Amos had a wound on his shoulder, but he shrugged it off. It's only a flesh wound, he said without skipping a beat, reloading his musket and pistol. Isaac and Patrick ran out to meet William in what was now a battlefield for safety of their extended families. "I be damn glad seeing you, boys," William exclaimed as he saw Patrick and Isaac run up to him.
Good thing you're already heading for the Cape, Patrick said. We have a plan.
Good, William shouted, 'cause I'm shit out of ideas.
Just keep pushing towards the Cape Fear docks,
Isaac hollered at the group in front of him. They began their mad race to the Cape to escape certain torture and death at the hands of a mad and vengeful lot of soldiers. Sam buried his face in his hands. Seeing this woman haggle like she was would have been embarrassing for a man to do, but for a woman, it was not a usual sight. He did not know if the poor bastard selling his ship of the line was tolerating it because he badly needed to sell it, or because she was a woman. Normally, she wouldn't have been looked at twice, but this was Captain Reed after all. Nobody messes with her and gets away with it, so the rumors say. Sam heard a ruckus in the distance and saw smoke rising over the treetops. The echo of gunfire was all too familiar.
Captain? Sam started. Captain, I think we better be wrapping this up now. I can hear the powder music approaching.
Quiet, Sam. You'll be cleaning the barnacles off my keel after another outburst like that. April continued to argue with the man selling the ship, and Sam stepped closer and closer to the gunfire, pistol ready and scabbard drawn. He saw a cart approaching with a bloody Isaac driving it hard. He then surveyed a group of people in the cart, some bloodied, some crying hysterically. Following closely behind on foot was Patrick and a cursing Scotsman. The two kept turning and firing as quickly as the younger boys in the cart could reload their firelocks. The refugees finally reached Sam.
Please tell me that boat is ours, loaded and ready to go,
begged Isaac.
No, not yet. The captain be bargaining fierce for it,
Sam replied. Patrick heard Sam's reply to Isaac and curtly stated, "Not for long, and not if I have anything to say about it." He ran toward April and stated commandingly, "Captain, let's wrap this up. We need to leave now." April turned to him, aggravated that he would dare speak to her like that in front of business. "Me wolf, I'll go when I'm damn well good and ready. Not one moment sooner." She turned back to the sailor of the ship, who had taken notice of the bloodied group and gunshots in the not-so-distant distance.
"All right, then," the man shouted. "Fine. Just get the hell away from my docks before you cause me grief."
The seller wasted no time and dragged the heavy bag of gold off the ship, disappearing into the darkness. April grinned and turned to Patrick with a smile of victory on her face. "Nice timing, my husband. So what the bloody hell is going on?" "Redcoats! Come on, we gotta get everybody on board now. We have some serious injuries to tend to." "No."
"No?"
"No." Patrick stared at her in disbelief. The British troops emerged and were within range again, and the gunfire volley began again. April coolly pulled out a bottle of rum from her purse. "We ain't getting on me new ship until we renamed it and done it right. If you don't follow proper tradition, it'll curse this vessel for all time." Patrick snatched the rum out of her hand and ran to the massive ship bow. "I name thee Archibald's Vendetta." He smashed the bottle, and rum ran all over the side and down into the salty waters of the Atlantic Ocean. "There, it's done. Now get on. We're leaving now." "You are so handsome when you try to exert authority. But no, not yet. You only poured the rum into the sea and never poured it on the deck. We need more rum," she criticized. "For shit's sake, where am I going to get more?" her husband belted back. As if on cue, a British bullet struck the cargo barrel full of rum sitting on the deck. It sprayed the sweet spirits all over the deck boards. "There, the bloody lobster bags helped us out. Now come on, everybody, climb aboard," he shouted. April shot him daggers out of her eyes in response. The rest of the group was already clambering on board, as April and Patrick had what was to be sure the first of many disagreements. Sam and Isaac ran below deck to ready the cannons as their families tried to take cover from the gunfire coming at them from the dock. Patrick and April continued their back-and-forth heated debate over the name of the ship as the crew prepared to fire a cannon at the dock as they departed. Mr. Quinn unleashed the sails as quickly as he could, and Sam joined him. The cannon was loaded, and Isaac was ready with the linstock for the command to fire. The large vessel was pushing the limits of the shallow docks as is, and the sailing master would have to be very careful not to run her onto a hidden sandbar. The ship creaked and moaned as it moved into the water, and April swung the wheel to turn it broadside. "But I wanted to name me new ship for me best cat, Reagan. I wanted it to be Reagan's Lure." "Stop it, woman, and tell Isaac to fire at them already." She glared at him. She hated it, but he was right. It was time to end this silly onslaught of British shots coming at them. She said, moving her hateful gaze to the shore, "Fire!" Isaac covered his ears from the blast of the 18-pounder Armstrong. The concussive force and vibration knocked him off his feet. It was completely surreal.
"Arr, take that, lobsterbacks."
The group on the deck began to shout and celebrate as they watched the redcoats fall and suffer a painful and grotesque death at the hands of such a force. Their muskets were no match, and they had no cannons to fire back with. Archibald's Vendetta was now too far out of range for their firelocks, and they had no choice but to retreat. Patrick surveyed the British men through the spyglass, and just for a second he swore he saw an irate Byron Kingsley yelling at his men.